What's up, everyone? I'm Trap. I love horror movies, and I'm excited because today I'm finally ranking all the Conjuring movies. Roll that music. Alright, so the Conjuring Universe consists of 9 movies, but I'm going to use 10 today. I understand that The Curse of La Llorona isn't considered part of the actual universe, even though it exists in the cinematic universe. It's only really tied by one character, and you know what? I sat through and reviewed the dang movie, so I'm going to add it to this list. I know you might be thinking, well, if you're adding that because of one crossover character, you should probably add Wolves at the Door. I didn't even know that movie existed until just a few minutes ago on the Wikipedia page I saw it, so my bad. Plus, that movie has Adam Campbell in it, and after Date Movie, I will never be able to take anything he does seriously, so I'm good. Okay, anyways, as everyone always says, these are just my opinions. I'm basing this off of my enjoyment of watching the movies. I wouldn't expect your list to look exactly like mine. It would probably make a pretty boring video for you if that was the case. So I'm up for some friendly debate down in the comments if you want to, but I would much rather see your ranking of these movies down there. I didn't start making these videos at random. I thoroughly enjoy watching other people and hearing their opinions. So please drop your ranking of these movies down in the comments. I would love to see them. I'm not sure exactly how in detail I'm going to get about these movies, so just a warning in advance. I'm going to probably drop some light spoilers throughout, maybe some heavy ones here and there, so spoiler warning across the board. Alright, with all that said, let's get into this thing. Okay, coming in last place, number 10 for me is Annabelle Comes Home. This was released in 2019. It's the 6th movie in this franchise, and it was written and directed by Gary Dauberman. There just simply isn't anything in this movie that I enjoy. I'm surprised it was greenlit in the first place. I'm not saying the acting is bad or anything like that. It's just the story, the visuals, the scares. Everything about this movie just bothers me. I saw it in theaters when it came out. I immediately lost all hope for this franchise, and I never watched it again until just recently when I did my review, and my opinions did not change at all. If anything, they are stronger now than they were before. The entire premise is built off of one dumb mistake by one dumb character. There's zero consequences for that mistake. There's no real stakes in the movie because you know that everyone's going to end up being just okay in the end. The scares are the same old recycled jump scares that we always get in these films. I'm burned out on Annabelle by this time, and the movie just feels like it was written to scare young teenagers, and it feels like a test reel for more spin-off fuel. All of these entities they encounter aren't really explored or expanded on. It's just random occurrence after random occurrence. It feels like a step up from Goosebumps, to be honest. So, nothing about it I like. I'll probably never watch this movie again, and it comes in last place in my ranking. Alright, with that steamy pile of trash out of the way, let's get the next one out of the way. Coming in at 9th place for me is The Curse of La Llorona. I understand a lot of you are probably bothered that I even put this in the list in the first place, but you know what, dude? I sat through it. Sue me. This movie is loosely connected to the Conjuring universe by just one character, Father Perez, my boy Tony Amendola. The premise of this movie is pretty cool. The folklore itself is pretty dark and twisted. I like that. The movie did not do it justice in my opinion. Linda Cardellini's acting is fantastic in this film, but as far as atmosphere and any depth to this movie, I just don't get it. There are some moments that are trying to be scary and they are literally just laughable. It's just a very bland, unmemorable horror film. This was our introduction to Michael Chaves as a director. I'm not saying Michael Chaves is a bad director or anything. I just feel like everything he's done for this franchise is things that don't work for me personally. These movies all make a crap ton of money, so I get why they keep bringing him back. The stuff he pumps out just happens to not be for me. I also just read today that they're in talks of a sequel to this film, The Revenge of La Llorona. And I cannot imagine why. Why? All of the scorings for this movie online are terrible. I haven't never heard one person say that they honestly enjoy this film. Oh, what's that? A $9 million budget with a $123.2 million box office turnaround. There you go. So yeah, anyways, extremely bland, boring movie. It's not memorable at all, and it's number 9 in my ranking. Alright, coming in at number 8 is The Conjuring Last Rites. I know, a lot of you are probably mad that I just said that. This is the most recent film in the franchise, at least at the time of me recording this video, and was also directed by Michael Chaves. This one was meant to be kind of a closing chapter for the Warrens, and they definitely pull that off. The movie visually looks gorgeous, like most of these films do. It just makes such little sense to me, the directions that they went with this film. The entities are just laughably goofy. They're almost non-existent to the story in general. They play kind of like what happened in The Conjuring 2, where this demon that has been following the Warrens and their daughter Judy since her birth is controlling these 3 entities. One of the 3 entities you see, I'm pretty sure only once in the entire film, very briefly, almost literally non-existent to the film. And the other 2 have a few moments where they're meant to scare you. They do nothing to the story. In The Conjuring 2, Bill he's like a character in the movie. So half of this movie is a haunted house film with this family struggling with these 3 entities. The other is about the Warrens and Judy and her boyfriend and him wanting to propose and Ed's health problems and all these family dynamic moments that I know hit some people in a good way, and that's what they left the movie enjoying more of, as opposed to the scares and horror. I didn't like either. The scares are just trash, and all these family moments, I mean, that's not why I'm watching a horror movie. Regardless if they're better than the scares or whatever, that's not what I want out of these movies. If I wanted to watch a drama about a guy being nervous to propose, I'd be pretty disappointed in myself in general, but I'd go watch a damn Hallmark movie or something, you know? The ending of this movie literally made me laugh in the theater. My wife and I were just like, did that really just happen? Like, come on. It is an obvious franchise handover. I mean, Ed literally tosses the dude the keys and is like, welcome to the family. Come on. They're in talks of doing a series coming up, I believe, on HBO Max, and there hasn't been any story premise released yet, but I imagine it'll be about Judy and her husband. I'm so uninterested already. There's also talks of a Conjuring First Communion movie, which I believe will be about the younger versions of Ed and Lorraine Warren that we see in the beginning of this film. I could care less about that too, unless they really turn things around and get back to the horror, which I am very doubtful. Just nothing about this movie. I did rewatch it since theaters and my opinions did not change. So it's unfortunate to put one of the Conjuring proper films this low in a list of this many bad movies. It's my number 8. Alright, coming in at number 7 is the first Annabelle movie. Yes, I would rather watch Annabelle than Conjuring Last Rites. That's right, I said it. This one was released in 2014, and it's the second movie in this universe, and it was directed by John R. Leonetti. There's really not a lot to shout out about with this movie, but it has its moments, and like I said in my review, I must have been really excited or in a good mood when I first watched it. I mean, this followed up The Conjuring, and I loved that movie, so I imagine my initial takeaway from this film the first time I watched it was better than most of these, so I hold it in a slightly higher regard, but it's really nothing special. It's starting to look a bit dated. The scares are, I mean, almost non-existent. The story is okay. You feel some emotional weight because you're worried about this lady and her being pregnant, so that amps it up slightly. But there's really just like 2 moments in this movie that really stick with me, and the main one being the elevator/basement scene. That one still kind of gives me the chills, which is rare. But I mean, overall, very bland movie, like a lot of these. So yeah, like most of these, the movie looks good. The acting isn't bad. The scares are predictable, and there's just not much to it. Not much to talk about here. So it's my number 7. Alright, falling on its face into number 6 is The Nun 2. This was released in 2023. It's the 8th film in this franchise, and it was directed by Michael Chaves. Now, this is the only movie out of all of these that I did not go to theaters to see. I had very little hope for it. I rented it on Prime when it came out at home, and I hated this movie. Much like my feelings after watching Annabelle Comes Home, I was almost offended. How many times are they going to follow the same exact formula of these predictable jump scares that feel like they're meant to scare children? By this point, the franchise is feeling like it's not trying to scare horror fans. It's trying to scare everyone else that's going to pay money to see this in theaters for a quick jolt of fear and forget about it. Now, after just recently watching this again for the second time for my review, my opinions changed slightly. I don't know if I would say I like this movie, but I don't hate it like I did. I don't know if my expectations were in check because I had seen it previously, but I didn't walk away from it disliking it as much as I did the first time around, and that's pretty rare for me. So I have to give it some props there. Much like the first Nun, the acting is great across the board in this film. There are some genuine moments of good tension building, but they all get paid off with a trash jump scare like usual. Visually, this movie is gorgeous. I love the locations set in this movie. Taissa Farmiga really brings it in this movie again. I think the character growth with Maurice this time around is awesome, because I wasn't really a fan of him in the first film. But again, just nothing memorable here. So I really don't have much else to say about it. It's a movie that I won't be revisiting very often, if ever. It's my number 6. Alright, coming in at number 5 is The Nun. This was released in 2018. It's the 5th movie in this franchise, and it was directed by Corin Hardy. This was actually the highest grossing film in the franchise until the release of Conjuring Last Rites. So it definitely did well. But for me, my main issue with this movie is the ending. I mean, the ending in this movie is ass. But aside from that, and aside from some unnecessary comedic relief from Maurice, this is a pretty solid movie. Yes, it's riddled with the same typical jump scares for the most part, but there are some really memorable moments in this movie. The atmosphere and location is just top notch. The movie is visually gorgeous. The acting across the board here is fantastic as well. I have a good time watching this movie. Getting through that ending though, yikes. I think it took me 4 nights to watch this entire film because I kept falling asleep in the last 20-30 minutes of this movie, but everything else about it is enjoyable for me. I have a good time with it. I love the overall just sense of dread and gloomy atmosphere we get in this film. It feels confined in this little abbey that they're in. I think that's the main driving point for me. I think it gives me the right mood that I want for this type of movie. It's not like the greatest movie of all time or anything like that. It's just, it was created well, in my opinion. So it's not one that I'm gonna revisit all the time, but it's one I won't mind rewatching occasionally, and I'd probably just turn it off at the ending there. I mean, there's some moments that just are so bad in the ending of this film. We get that long, vertically extended demon mouth scream that sends people flying into walls like 30 feet off the ground, and they're just not as hurt as they should be after that stuff. I hate that. Feels like such a cop-out. There's a moment where Sister Irene has the artifact later when Valak is trying to drown her in the pool. She's underwater, and suddenly she has some of that blood in her mouth to spit in Valak's face, which is the climax to the film. Just really dumb and lazy writing, in my opinion. But like a lot of these movies, the endings are just bad in general, so take it for what it is. Take the good with the bad. It's my number 5. Alright, coming in at number 4 is The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. Longest title ever. This movie was released in 2021. It's the 7th in this franchise and directed by Michael Chaves. This is definitely the weirdest movie in this franchise, which is a good thing and could be a bad thing. Most of these movies follow the same formula over and over and over, so it's kind of nice to get something different, but I think to a lot of people it's a bit too different. We finally escape the haunted house mode of these films, and they're out on the road investigating, doing detective work. It feels more like a mystery detective movie without the mystery, because you know who the bad guy is the whole time. But to me, it's fun watching them try to figure out who it is, where they are, how it's happening. I have a fun time with this movie. It's not a scary movie at all. And again, the ending is pretty corny, but we get some really great acting from Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson here. I really like the collaboration with, oh my God, I forgot his name again. Hold on. Drew. Forgot his name last time too. I was actually kind of bummed that Drew didn't have a bigger role in the latest Conjuring film. I understand why. The Warrens weren't expecting to be doing that investigation and they just showed up there. But anyways, I really like the collaboration they get with Drew and trying to break down this mystery. There are a few good moments with some tension, but nothing really scary. Again, the movie is visually gorgeous, and I kind of like the difference in the bad guy here. It's more of a cultist performing like witchcraft as opposed to a demon possessing somebody. People still get possessed, but you know. I can take it for what it is and enjoy it. I get that's a turnoff for a lot of people. Sometimes in other franchises it probably would be for me too, but I enjoy this movie. I think it's fun. It's my number 4. Alright, top 3, baby! Coming in at number 3 is Annabelle Creation. This was released in 2017. It is the 4th movie in this franchise, and it was directed by David F. Sandberg. The only time he directed one of these movies, and it's one of the best in my opinion. Oh well. I have overall a great time with this movie. There are a lot of things that I don't like about it, but the good stuff outweighs the bad for me. There are some moments where these characters make really dumb decisions and you're like, why? Oh, because it needs to further the plot. Okay. We get some of the good old predictable jump scares, like always, but there are some pretty well-crafted scenes that really build some tension and bring some terror. The movie isn't afraid to get dark. An issue with most of these films in this franchise. Again, like most of these, we're dealing with children, and most of these films like to play it extremely safe. I mean, we're dealing with demons, inhuman spirits possessing people. We don't need to be playing it safe. We don't need PG-13 ratings on these films. We don't need to try and drive in the child teenager audience. Let's make horror movies for horror fans, and that's what I feel this movie did. It's not like one of my favorites of all time or anything like that. I'm not trying to put this movie up on a pedestal or anything, but as far as this franchise goes, it is definitely one of my favorites. And apart from an axe to the head from one entity to another in Last Rites and a guy being set on fire in The Nun 2, I think this is one of the only movies in this entire franchise with some gore. We don't see the act, of course, it's off screen, but we see the aftermath of someone being totally split in half. Like, pretty crazy for this franchise. Kudos. So yeah, I feel like it's a strong follow-up to the first Annabelle film. They definitely made better decisions than that movie did. It is a prequel, but the way this movie leaves off, it almost adds a bit to the beginning of Annabelle, giving just a little bit more context, which makes rewatching the first Annabelle, at least for the first 30 minutes or so, a little bit more enjoyable. So yeah, across the board, I really enjoy this film. So very happy to put it at number 3. Alright, the big decision. Which proper Conjuring film do I prefer? This is a very hard decision for me, but after much thought and consideration, I'm putting in my number 2 slot, The Conjuring 2. This was released in 2016, it's the 3rd movie in this franchise, and was directed by James Wan. Now, I don't think of James Wan as some god hero of horror, but the guy definitely knows how to start a franchise. I'm slightly kidding. The guy knows how to build tension, he knows how to set atmosphere, he knows how to get you to connect with the characters. He can even form a pretty good jump scare for someone who hates jump scares. But yeah, the guy knows what he's doing. This is a very strong sequel to the first Conjuring film, and there is almost nothing I dislike about this movie. When I really think about it, the only things I do dislike about this film is one of the child actors, whatever the boy with the stutter's name is. And like all these, the last few minutes of the movie. As soon as Vera Farmiga gets thrown up against the wall and she's shouting at Valak. cheddar cheese. But aside from that one kid, the acting is great across the board. I don't even know if that kid does bad. And maybe it's more his character this time around. Takes me out of the moment every time I see him. I love our introduction to Valak here. The Valak scenes in the Warrens' home are some of the creepiest moments I've seen in horror movies. I think Bill Wilkins is a creepy front for Valak in this film. I think they did a great job with him. I love the moments where the girl is like tied to the bed and goes through the ceiling. Just bizarre, original ideas, and they work so well, in my opinion. Much like the first Conjuring film, I love the atmosphere. I feel like we're in that house with them in this movie. We really grow on these characters and hope the best for them. Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, of course, seriously bring it in this film. I even love the little Elvis scene. Yeah, it's why I love these first two films so much. It's like an authentic haunted house investigation movie, and they just totally nail it. Like I said about the ending of these movies just previously, I don't think they'll ever really work for me because of my own feelings and beliefs, or lack thereof. But I could put this movie on like every night and just fall asleep and have peaceful, happy dreams. So yeah, seriously solid stuff in this movie. Absolutely love it. It's my number 2. Which of course leaves us with the first Conjuring film as my number 1 pick. Favorite movie in this franchise. Released in 2013, this one was also directed by James Wan, and he nailed it, man. I remember seeing the trailer for the first time and being stoked, and leaving the movie theater after watching it, just on board. Let's do this, man. Let's go. I had some slight knowledge of the Warrens before these movies, nothing extensive, but I knew that they investigated a lot. I thoroughly enjoy ghost hunting stuff in general, so I had heard about them. I kind of knew what they did. I knew they had a lot of investigations under their belt, so I knew that this was going to be a franchise. Unfortunately, the hype didn't last very long for me. But when I think of haunted house films, which is probably one of my favorite subgenres of horror, this is the one that comes to mind. There, of course, is a child actor in this movie that really pulls me out of the moment every time, and that's the youngest daughter.
Ha ha, you took your blindfold off. I win. You weren't even warm, Mom. I was in Christine and Nancy's room.
But aside from that, everyone brings it in this movie. I love the introduction we get to Ed and Lorraine Warren, the Hollywood versions. I think the case they chose to do first is great. I love the setting. I love the atmosphere. I love the terror that this movie brings. Love the investigation approach again, like Conjuring 2, and also like Conjuring 2 and the rest of these. The only thing I dislike is last few minutes of the movie. Like I said in my review, there's a moment where they're chasing the possessed mother down through the walls of the house, and she turns and you see Bathsheba's face instead of hers. At that exact moment, I can just kind of turn this movie off and be totally fine with it. But I think they did a lot of cool things during the possession exorcism scene down in the basement, the chair going upside down, the blood through the cloth. Really cool stuff. I guess it's a good point to say, do I think that almost anything in any of these movies actually happened to these families? Probably not. So I'm not watching these or considering these to be true stories. I know they're based off true stories, and Hollywood took that and ran. This movie kind of reignited my love for haunted house films in general and got me so excited for what the future held. Unfortunately, it holds everything I just talked about after this. I wish that James Wan stuck around more in the directing side of things here. I know he's been producing and had some touches with writing here and there throughout the franchise, but man, he nailed it with these first 2 Conjuring movies. It is what it is. But yeah, I thoroughly love this movie. Feel like it would have to be in my top 15. I don't know if I want to say top 10. I haven't ever really given that much thought. Favorite horror movies of all time, but it's up there. I love this film. I don't really need to say much else about it. It is my number 1 favorite Conjuring Universe movie. Alright, that is it for my ranking of the Conjuring Universe films. I hope you enjoyed my list. I hope yours is different, and I would really love to see your ranking of these films down in the comments below. I'd love to talk about this. If you're new here, welcome. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. It really helped this brand new channel grow. Really appreciate it. If you guys have any input on which franchise I should run through next, let me know down in the comments as well. I'm open for suggestions. But anyways, I'm very glad to be done with this franchise. I've had a lot of fun making these videos. I haven't had a lot of fun watching all these movies, but it's all worth it for this one right here, and I'm glad to be done with it. So yeah, stay happy, stay horror filled, and I'll see you guys next time.